Hey yo guys, what's up and welcome back to Toe Tags Metal Reviews, and today we're getting our final review of the album called Home by The Offering. Alright, so TV Fish and I have spent an entire week listening to this album as much as we possibly can, and I'll say that I did enjoy this album quite a lot. So in my first impressions, if you guys remember, if you watched that video, I'm pretty sure I said Waste Away was my favorite song. That's the first track on the album. I just right out the gate was very impressed. This song sounds fresh, this band sounds fresh, I'm really into it. And the rest of the album was like pretty good. That's changed a bit. My favorite tracks kind of shuffled around throughout the week. But one track specifically kind of became my favorite and stayed my favorite, and that is Glory. That's track number 7. This song is just amazing. From beginning to end, it just has everything going for it. Like, I'm not going to go into all the details and everything like that, but one of the highlights really is the vocals, and I really love the dynamics of the vocals and the range of the vocals and the diversity of the vocals. There's cleans, there's those falsetto screams, which I freaking love, and it's all done very tastefully. It's all done in the right amounts. It's not overbearing in any way whatsoever.
The layering is very impressive.
Very impressive all around, just the way it's all put together. Another song that stood out to me was track number 3, Ultraviolence. This song, I kept getting Unearthed vibes from this song. Like we said before that we thought it sounded like Slipknot, and it still does. It has a vibe there. But if you guys know the song Hardline Downfall by Unearthed, it's very similar to the beginning of the song structurally. And it's got the same kind of vibe where like there's like an intro build-up, and then he goes ultra violence, but in Hardline Downfall they go hardline downfall, and then both songs just break into the chaos, right? Really cool stuff. I'm drawing the parallel there, but it's not a bad thing because I like both those things. It's really cool. But you know what? Almost every song in this album, not even I'm gonna take out the word almost. Every song in this album like impressed me in some way. Even A Dance with Diana, which was kind of a song that was a little lower rated for me, grew on me quite a bit. To me, that song sounds like something Static X would write, and it's performed in a way that I feel like it sounds almost like a Static X song to me in a lot of ways. But then all of a sudden the vocalist is doing like these vibrato things, and just they make it their own, right? But when you hear that song in context with the rest of the album, you really get a sense that this band is not a pocket band. They don't just do one thing and stick to one thing. I don't even want to say experiment, because I think this is just their style. They're just very unorthodox in the way they write their music, and this is a good example of that. But honestly, the whole album is very diverse in the way it sounds, and I really did enjoy that aspect of it.
You know, although A Dance with Diana is not specifically my favorite song really, it, similar to you, was kind of lower on my list. One thing I really appreciate about it is how it breaks up the pace of the album. I think one of the best things about this album is how well it flows with itself. Mm-hmm. You get a perfect contour between the crazy stuff and softer stuff, and it ends with this big like 14-minute epic, which really caps it off nicely. Like, I think it's a really well put together album. Mm-hmm. Now, I agree with you. The vocals on this album are the highest point. They are ridiculous. You hear everything. Mm-hmm. Any kind of scream, any kind of growl, all these kinds of cleans. Like, it's really impressive that this is all one person doing them.
Is it?
Yeah, I mean, I looked into it. I didn't notice anyone else singing. So, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but if I recall correctly, it is really just one singer.
Pretty good.
And that's insane, because there's so much layering. There's so many different things on top of each other, and it's like, wow, really? Is one guy doing this? And even if it's not, even if I'm wrong and it's more than one person, like, that's still awesome.
Yeah.
But it's just even crazier when it's just one guy. Now, this is really interesting. I really liked a lot of the choruses on this album. They were catchy in the right way. Mm-hmm. And I was singing along with them. I was like, they just really grab you. And that's really funny to consider, because last week, that was one of my criticisms of the album that we reviewed, the Atreyu album. So it's just funny that we kind of saw, or at least I kind of saw the opposite, feeling of that, where it's like, wow, these choruses are really good, and they're really grabbing me, and they are some of the highest points on this album. Mm-hmm. Now, the guitar solos are crazy. Every time there's a solo, it's wild, it's off the chain, it's insane, and it's great. The only criticism I really have with it is that I feel like there's too many of them.
Too many solos.
Only because it's like you get to every solo, it's like, okay, here's the crazy solo where he goes wild. I feel like if you either omitted maybe one or two or changed them up a lot, the crazier ones would feel more special. I feel like it kind of becomes, like, okay, every solo kind of feels like the same kind of wailing, wild solo, and it's still great, they're still really good. I just feel like if they were a little bit more few and far between, they'd be more special that way, because you wouldn't see them all the time.
I kind of get what you mean.
But I mean, like, there's still really good solos regardless of how many there are. Like, they've got good stuff.
I like my guitar solos. I pay pretty close attention to guitar solos when I'm listening to metal. It's one of my favorite aspects of heavy metal and metal in general. This album does have a lot of solos, like TV Fish said, but a lot of them kind of just flew by me. Like, they'd come on, I'd hear it, I go, okay, there it was, whatever. Except for the solos in Waste Away. There's 2 solos in that song. Those ones stand out to me. So there's something about those ones that is different. Not exactly sure what that is, but those are the only ones that really made me go, oh yeah, I like this solo. The rest of them are kind of just like, it is what it is.
Do you think that might be because that was the first track you heard, so you kind of got used to that solo, then everything else kind of sounded the same?
I thought that at the beginning, but through the week, as I would like just pick different songs to listen to and stuff like that, none of them had the same effect that Waste Away had. It might be how the solo's introduced in the song. Because honestly, it just comes out of nowhere. It's like a bitch slap in the face when you weren't expecting it. And it just happens, and you're like, whoa! Wow! Yes! Like, that's my reaction, basically.
It's funny, something you said that I agree with is that, like, every song in this album has something great about it. I could write, like, I have notes on pretty much every song in this album. It's the kind of album where I look at this track listing after I've heard it a bunch, and I'm like, oh yeah, that song's sick. That one's sick. Like, they all have standout points.
Yeah.
They all have something about it positive that I can say. It's not like any track here is filler. Everything's good. Even the bonus track. There's a bonus track on this album, which we don't consider for review, but that's also a really good track. I like that one too.
It is a good track. And speaking of filler, talk about the drums a little bit, because there's a lot of nice fills, some really nice rolls, a lot of nice drum work overall. Again, this isn't a band like a lot of bands that pocket themselves in a genre, and you hear the same rhythmic patterns and just drum beats throughout every song. They don't do this here. You get some variety, you get some flavor, you get some flair. I really like the drumming on this album too. I liked everything. The guitaring was good, the riffing was good. There's just a lot going for it, and I think they did well. The track Home, track number 8, technically the last song, the 14.5-ish minute epic. I liked this track, but I also kind of have my issues, as I always do with long songs like this. If I put this song on, I'm like, okay, I'm going to listen to Home right now and put it on. It was difficult for me to pay attention through the whole 14 minutes. It just really is, even if I try to. But when I'm just listening casually and that song comes on, I love the roller coaster and the story that I feel like I'm going through. I feel like somebody's reading me a book through song, and I don't know what the lyrics are. I don't bother to look up the lyrics. Maybe I should. I'd probably get some more insight on this, but it feels like somebody's reading a book to me. It just feels like there's an adventure happening, and that's what the song is portraying to me. So it's entertaining in a way that I'm actually able to somehow visualize some sort of movie or something happening in my head as the song's playing, and it's going through these different sections, and things are happening in my head. Like, I'm having a hard time explaining this in words, but compared to other long songs that I've heard from other bands and other albums, this one was okay for me. Okay, I actually enjoyed it. It was not bad. I didn't find it salty or anything like that.
I think with that song, it does a great job at using melodies and using musical motifs to really paint a good picture. It is a long song, 14 minutes long, and it is structured pretty typically as far as long songs go, which is not a problem. But I really think that it does grab you enough that you really kind of do end up paying attention to it.
Yeah.
And you listen to it, and even if it's on in the background, you'll chime in and be like, oh yeah, this part's really cool. Oh yeah, this is the big song, at the end, and it feels like a really good conclusion to the album, because you've been through all this crazy stuff, and now it's the big long finale. So I think, that's another testament to how good the flow and pacing of this album really is. I'd like to also mention about Glory, by the way. That song is fucking crazy. It's just honestly one of the most balls to the wall songs on this album, and I really love the false ending in it, because it got me a few times. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's it. And then they come back like, fuck, what? It's not over yet. So just thought I'd mention how great that song is. But like I said, all of the songs have something good about them to talk about, but we just don't have enough time to talk about all of them. So I think it's a good time to talk about ratings. Vile, what do you give Home?
I think this is a great album from beginning to end. I really have no gripes. Like I always try to figure out like how can I criticize this album? Like any album we review, I want to say something. I want to criticize it in some way. It's kind of our job here to do that. But for this one, I got nothing. It's so diverse. It's so well performed. It's well mixed. There's a lot of variety in here. Gets a toe tag for me. It's an excellent album. I really enjoyed it.
Well, I share similar opinions to you. I think this is a really, really well-rounded album, a really interesting sounding one. I feel like this can appeal to the majority of metal fans. I feel like there's got a little bit of everything for everyone in here. So it's definitely worth checking out. It gets a toe tag from me as well, because this album is bomb.
There you go, guys. It's a 2 toe tag album. Home is going on the list. That's it for this review, guys. Leave a comment down below and let us know what you guys think of this album. This was requested by the winner of Who Guessed the Sweetest Band Tournament. That's Sam Russell. Well, thank you for picking this album. It was a great choice. But yeah, that's it for this video, guys. So like it if you liked it. Subscribe if you guys are new to the channel. And we'll see you guys in the next video. I'm Vile Self.
I'm TV Fish.
Keep those heads banging.